going to hit record, and we are back for our weekly challenge extravaganza. This week, we talked with Antoine Person, and we're going to talk a little bit about what we discussed there, and then get into our challenge for the week. First, we will do an actual introduction this time. This is the Developreneur Podcast. Building Better Developers is actually, I guess, the YouTube show right now, the bonus Friday. Hey, let's get going. Let's have a good weekend. And I am Rob Broadhead. I'm one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you with a technology reality check, help you figure out what you need to do before you step into that big investment. Actually, in our pre-show, way before this, Michael and I talked about an example where somebody really should have done those kinds of things, because sometimes you need to know what you got before you start asking people to build things for you. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing was, I guess it's sort of like in the bad thing. So good thing was we went down to Lisbon for the weekend, and it was phenomenal. It was great. We had all kinds of cool places that we went. We stumbled into a beer and wine spa that was basically, we saw a sign as we were walking down the street. We said, what's that? Next thing you know, the next day we're like, we're going to go hang out at the spot for a while. So we had a really good time. Bad thing is our time here is starting to come to a close. As much as I have enjoyed Portugal, we are pretty close to wrapping up. Our days here are numbered, at least for this time around. Another bad thing is, well, I guess we'll say it's a good thing, is I get to hand this off now for Michael to introduce himself.
Hey, everyone. My name is Michael Meloche, one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we help companies build custom test software to essentially automate, streamline your applications, your business, to make your business run smoother, faster, and get things done. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, weather's been beautiful. Spring is here for now in Tennessee. Bad thing, all the wonderful weather and freezing we've had has caused some repairs that need to be done. So it's a small hit to the pocketbook, but that's why we're here. We're here to move things forward this season. And let's talk about Antoine.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So we're going to dive in. Antoine was a really fun conversation because while we've had a couple of coaches and talked about mindset and things like that, I thought there was some really good stuff that we stumbled upon, we'll say, when we were during this conversation with Antoine. One of it is he really talked about what I liked is that we got into separating out a business from a company, basically. Is it sort of like that? We talked a lot about the startup phase, we'll call it, the entrepreneurial stage. Sometimes I refer to it as the survival stage. And then we talked about like post that, where you get into the growth phase or the scaling phase. Early on, and this is, I think is a key point for all of us from a side hustle point of view. There's a point where you're hustling. The hustle is the deal. You're out there, you're working, you're doing all this stuff. It is blood, sweat, and tears. You're investing in what's going to become the company. At some point, that has to become a process. It has to have something that is not you-based or hustle-based. You have to have a point where you can actually start bringing other people in and scale it up and do those things. It's very interesting as I was having a conversation with AI, as I tend to do occasionally, I was talking about this, and one of the things that AI mentioned was that very rarely does a boutique consulting type of side hustle entrepreneur consulting business in particular grow to actually like hire people and grow to the point where it can scale. That's like, and I hadn't really thought of it because most businesses fail within 5 years historically. Don't know if that's still date. I mean, that may be dated stats, but feels about right. It also is, funny enough, about the same time that businesses have to grow beyond hustle, where you have to actually you got to start having procedures, you have to have processes, you have to bring people in. You just can't do it yourself. Not just the stuff you don't like, the stuff you like also, you have to start being able to hand that off and grow it based on that. And I loved, there's a lot of stuff that Antoine brought up in that phase. He gave a hard number of it, even where he was talking about like you can get to about $10,000 a month, but then at some point, like now, if you're going to grow beyond that, the business is going to require somebody else. And I think that's A little bit, it depends, not a little bit, it definitely depends on the line of business you're in. Because some I think you're going to be limited at a lot lower, some you're going to be limited at a little bit higher. But there's definitely that point where I think of it as there's a point where like you can only give so many hours and then you can't grow after that. You've got to find a way to essentially manufacture hours. Either you don't sleep or you have to find ways to scale. You have to automate stuff. You have to hire people. You have to do those pieces. So that's a lot to kick this one off. So I want to throw those out and just see what your thoughts are, or dovetail, or just like jump in on those.
Yeah, the conversation with Antoine was great. Like you said, we talked about, going from a business to a company and the distinction between the two. And we've talked about this before. In fact, we really talked about this heavy when we talked about, building better businesses, our season of that, because that was back when I was going through that co-starters, relaunching my company. And a lot of things he talked about are what I had to go through. These are things that businesses have to go through, though. If you want to take that side hustle and turn it into a business, turn it into your full-time job, that $10,000 a month may seem steep, but take your salary, cut that down to what you're making per month, and you got to take that even further down to like what your hourly rate is. You have to figure out, can I walk away from my job and do this full time? If you do, you need to have that hard decision of, I need to make X. How do I do that? Can I do that with my business? And if I can't, how can I change my business to get me to that point so I can quit my day job, focus on the business, and grow it into a company? I liked his idea, though, of taking it from a business and turning it into a company, because that's when you become real. That's when you go from just something you're doing to a legacy. And I really liked him talking about, building your legacy. Are people going to remember your company? And a lot of us don't think of our businesses that way. We just think of it, hey, we like what we're doing. It's fun. We got into this because we have passion for it. And you really do have to kind of have that mentality of drink your own Kool-Aid sometimes to get you passionate about what you're doing to grow. The other thing I liked, though, was how he talked about the mentors and going out and finding the people that have already done what you're trying to do. We've talked about this before, and that a couple of weeks ago, even I talked about, I've kind of lost that energy a little bit because I've been working in the business too much. And what made me think about that too was when you get siloed, when you're really in your business and working on your business, you're not networking as much. You're not talking to other professionals as much. You're just working. And I forgot how much that energized me to be talking to people, to go out and network with other business people, to work with others in the industry or even other business entrepreneurs. And because what it is that energy. You're talking to people that are doing what you're doing, that are succeeding at what you're doing, or learning like you, but you're talking to people that have done it, that have succeeded, and you're kind of feeding off of that energy, and it helps drive you. So that's kind of my take from our discussion with Antoine. It was kind of a really nice reminder of, hey, if you want to be a business, if you want to grow that business to a company, you still need to be doing these things, not just working on your business. It was just a good reminder of that.
Yeah, I love this. Is something we've used many, many times. Am I being busy or am I being productive? And he really talked about, like, you can be working very, very hard on your business, but if you're not doing the things to scale it, to build it, then you're just not doing what you need to do. And this is a trap we fall into a lot. Part of it is the in versus on. As we're just working our butts off and we're billing hours or we're producing product and people are buying our product. But if we're not picking our heads up and scaling and looking at how do we make that better? How do we do it faster? How do we essentially, the key is, how do we move from swapping money for time to something that's bigger and something that's better? And it does. It goes to like automation and systems and hiring other people and all these other things that you could use to grow a business. And trust me, I 100% have been there where it's like, but I don't have time to work on my business because I need to work in my business. Because as Michael said, like you got to make payroll. You've got to pay yourself. Even if it's just you have to make the payroll to yourself. You have bills to pay. You need money coming in. And so it's really been, for me, it's really been interesting that I've had a lot of no's that have been part of my adjustment in the last little bit. In the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year, stuff like that, is it's basically like, these are the things that I need to say no to. These are the things that I need to not do. These are the things that I do that make me feel busy and they have some level of payout, but it's not the payoff that I really need. It's like being able to, I will give a quick example I got years ago. Somebody shared me. So there's this tribe that's, they need water. They're, a couple miles from the water source. They're in a place where they don't have running water or anything like that. And so they hire, they hire two guys because they're like, we just need this help. So the one guy is just an engineer type that just like, okay, I'm going to you pay me, $5 an hour, and I'm going to be bringing buckets from I'm going to bring buckets from the river to you guys, and you guys are going to have water. And they paid this other guy, and he's more of a architect side type. So he goes away for a while. He's not bringing water. He's not anything. He goes away for a while. He invests in building a pulley system from the river to the city, to the town. And so it comes back 6 months later, and now he's built this thing, and now water is coming, and he doesn't have to carry it. And the moral of this one is: are you going to be the guy that carries the buckets, or are you the guy that's designing something that will do that for you? And it's a very, to me, it's a very just raw example. And I know we have all of our different things we worry about and how we say, well, I'm not really just carrying buckets, but honestly, AI, if nothing else, has shown us that even if you're very good at writing code, you're carrying buckets at the end of the day, because that stuff's going to go away. That is going to be code has become less and less of a skill. I have to start beating that drum, because I worry about this next generation of developers. If you think that the fact that you know Ruby, or that you know Python, or that you know Java, or you know C#, or whatever the heck it is, if you think that matters, you're going to be in trouble, because that is very quickly going to be something that is not going to matter. The way things are going, it is way too easy to move stacks, to change those. That stuff's going to flow so quickly. And I'm in the same boat. There's so much stuff that I've spent time learning, and now I'm like, that was it wasn't wasted time. I got something out of it, but now I'm like, that doesn't really help me that much. There's other things that I need to do. And I think that's really where we got into. And part of this is the coaching thing. I think that, he did touch on this, is that you need to have somebody. He talked about not having a coach that's like a niche coach or mentor, as much as just somebody that can help you with the core stuff. If you don't have the foundations, you need somebody to help you with the foundations. Or maybe you have some of the foundations. I mean, I can point to myself. I have an MBA. I've learned all this stuff, but there's certain things like marketing stuff that I'm just not my thing. That is I can know it all day, but I don't do it. So there's things like that we need to find other people. We need to find other ways to offset that stuff. We need to have, in some cases, processes and procedures and things in place, best practices that we can do it anyway. So foolproof, so that even if we don't have that skill, we can still get that thing done. And this is what coaches and mentors will give us, is a different perspective, and say, this is something that you shouldn't be wasting your time on this. But then also this is how you solve this problem kind of a solution. And these are a couple of key things that I think we got out of Antoine that were really long-term value bombs that we got out of this. Thoughts on those?
Yeah, I liked your distinction with the buckets and the pulley system, because given, like you said, where we're at with AI, where things are going, you can't just focus on code anymore. Things are changing rapidly. So we need to be able to adjust and adapt quickly. With this discussion with Anton, focus on your foundation, what it is that you want your business to do. What is your business about? And then forget the tool. There are plenty of tools out there. AI is making it very easy, but lay the foundation down for what it is that you want to achieve. What is it that your company is going to do? Come up with the best solution for that. Figure out how you're going to grow the company, where you're going to position your company, and then worry about marketing and branding later. But focus on the core, focus on those foundations, focus on streamlining the business, automation, and then figure out how to take it to the next level. And keep that mindset of how can I keep up with change? Because in the current state of the world, the current state of technology, things are changing very quickly, and you need to be able to have a foundation that can pivot and shift with the changes in the market and the changes in the workspace. So that was one of the key takeaways I had from Antoine in our discussion is running a business really hasn't changed. There are certain core components you still need for your business to be a business, to grow into a company. The tools to do that are changing, but the core ideas and foundations have not. So focus on those, get stronger at that, and then just learn to adapt, learn to grow with the changes in the current, with the changes that are happening.
I think that leads us to a challenge that, as I've done a couple times, sort of has like evolved while we've been having this discussion. This is actually something that I did for myself for RB Consulting months ago to some extent. Actually, now years ago, a year or two ago. And I didn't do it with AI, but now AI allows you to do some of this. And this is sort of like a follow-up to what Michael said. So think about what you like, what you want. What is your ideal company? What is it that you want to build? What is it you want to do? And then take that, and hopefully because we've talked about that a lot, hopefully you have some level of that. Write that down. Write us not like, this is what my company should do. Now, if you have a company, if you have a website, if you have marketing material, is take your, this is what I want to do. And actually, probably without even sending that in, take all of your, have AI look at your website, look at your content, look at your marketing material and say, what does this say? What does this company do? And then figure out, does it match what you think your company does? If not, how do I get there? Or do I get there? It's like, this is where I think it becomes a thing, because if they're not going to be a match, and they probably won't, unless you're really good at marketing, stuff like that. This is how I started, was with a marketing person, looked at the website and said, this is what I see. And I liked some of it, and some of it, like, no, that's not what I want. And so now it becomes, how do I change those things? Now, part of it was changing the company itself. Part of it is changing what we focus on. Part of it is changing what our processes are and what we are looking for in customers and everything else. Part of it is our marketing. Part of it is our branding. Part of it is like, how do we productize or have services, and what do those services look like, and how do we constrain them? There's a lot that comes out of this conversation, but it starts with really understanding, what do I want? And if you're really lost, take your resume, especially if you're a side hustler and you're just getting started or something like that. Take your resume, throw it into AI and say, what would be like the top 5 best businesses for me to run, or something along those lines. Give it as much background as you can on yourself and say, based on this, what should I be doing? Where should I be going? And have conversations. Don't just take the answers as gospel. Ask questions about that. Say, well, what about this? What about this? Or even throw stuff in there and say, well, I would like this kind of a thing. Maybe just start with, here's my resume, here's my background. I want to create and run my own business. What would be good opportunities based on where I'm at? Because what it's going to do is, just like an HR professional or even just like a coach, they're going to go look at like, what is the typical makeup of people in certain areas, and they're going to see, what do you match? AI is really good at doing this. It's a match engine. It'll just go find you stuff and say, how about this? How about this? How about this? And then you start that conversation. So the challenge is to question who you are, question your side hustle, question your focus. And within that, out of this challenge should be your target, should be your goal. This is where I want to go. And it may take you, this one may take you a little bit, because depending on where you're at and what you think you want and what you like and what you don't, you may have to try some stuff out even. But on the other end of this challenge will be clarity and it will be a match that you will have energy doing what you want to do because it is what you want to do. So you got to be very honest. You can't go into this with too many preconceived notions because it may tell you things that you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that because I have some notion about that's not the job I want. Give it time, think about it, dig into that a little bit and see what is going to be the match for you. That was a lot. Thoughts on that or additions and comments, editorial comments?
No, just remember, this is a journey, folks, and these challenges are meant to help us grow and become better at what we do. So take that challenge, go into the weekend, and muddle over it. And then come up with a plan for Monday, or if you feel ambitious, work through the weekend on it. And let's, give us your thoughts in the comments as to how the challenge went.
100%. And if you would want, if you want any feedback or, anybody to give you a little bit of a sounding board, we'd love to do that as well. As always, info@developreneur.com. Love to help you out wherever we can and to have those kind of conversations. Because we could go a whole season. I could talk about the conversations I've had and how this has adjusted some of the things I've done. And some of it's been very minor tweaks and some of it has been like major adjustments because it's things where the website, for example, did not match the other stuff that we were trying to sell. So it's like part of it is like getting your brand on, being on brand and on message and getting your vision, all that kind of stuff straightened out so that it's consistent and so that you have for yourself a set of constraints to know that like, what should I say no to? What should I say yes to? Huge to be able to do that. And you might find yourself pleasantly surprised as well. I think this is good enough for this one. We're going to wrap this one up. You have your challenge. You have your weekend ahead of you. We theoretically have our challenge and our weekend ahead of us. This challenge is something we'll continue. I've been working on it for a while. Sure, Michael will continue on it as well. We'll let you know if we have any great insights, but also we'll be back here next week for the same thing, more of a challenge, but also diving into next week. We have yet another interview. We are marching our way towards the end of season 28. 27. 27. Gosh, I can't even keep track. We've had so many seasons now.
Next season is 28. This season's 27.
So
forward momentum.
We are, we got plenty coming. We've got lots of people lined up. We've got some really good conversations ahead. I'm looking forward to being able to share some of those with all of you and some of the challenges. We've got some really cool challenges coming ahead as well. As always, we appreciate so much your time hanging out with us. Go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, an awesome weekend, and we will talk to you next week.